I can guarantee you this. You've never heard a story quite like this before. You see, we often think of assassins as disruptors of history, those shadowed figures working to topple empires, overthrow kings, or rewrite the future with the tip of a blade. But what if I told you that in one curious case, an assassin did the unthinkable? Instead of tearing history apart, this assassin held it together, stitching the fabric of a nation's stability in one of its most fragile moments. Yes, this might sound absurd at first, but this is the incredible tale of the assassin who saved a dynasty. Our story begins in 13th century China. Imagine it. Ancient cities sprawling across the landscape, markets abustle with silk traders, calligraphers brushing poetic verses, and fleets of junks floating through glimmering rivers. This was the Yuan dynasty, established by the formidable Kublai Khan, grandson of the notorious Genghis Khan. It was a time when the Mongol Empire had stretched its grip over vast territories, claiming dominion over China and merging its nomadic traditions with the region's refined cultures. Yet beneath this veneer of strength and grandeur was a labyrinth of political intrigue, bitter rivalries, and internal discord. Kublai Khan's death in 1294 left a void that his successors could barely fill. One ruler after another faltered, triggering power struggles within the imperial court that weakened the dynasty and left it on the brink of collapse. It was against this backdrop that we meet our protagonist, or antagonist, depending on where you stand, Zhang Ji, a shadowy figure revered and feared as a master infiltrator and mercenary. A name whispered across battlefields and palaces alike, Zhang Ji was a legend in the underworld of hired killers. Whether it was by stealth or subterfuge, Zhang's craft was second to none, performing each task with chilling precision. And yet few knew much about the person behind the mystique. Did Zhang operate out of greed, revenge, or a mysterious code of honor? Debate rages in historical texts and folklore alike. Now, the Yuan dynasty's troubles took a drastic turn when one of its emperors, Timur Khan, died suddenly in 1307. With no clear heir and numerous vested interests vying for power, the court descended into chaos. You need to picture this to fully grasp the tension. Warlords from far-off Mongolian steppes, conniving ministers fluent in courtly subterfuge, and influential concubines. Everyone seemed to have an agenda. And in the middle of this tempest stood the emperor's cousin, Yesun Temür, a man who believed it was his divine right to rule, though many in the court reviled him as unfit. Meanwhile, whispers of uprisings and secessionist plots echoed across the empire. Enter Zhang Ji. Records are murky on who hired Zhang, but historians theorize that it was a faction opposed to Yesun Temür's claim. The mission? To eliminate the would-be ruler before he could secure the throne. Zhang protested, it is said, a curious hesitation for someone whose blade knew no allegiance. Was it professional caution or something deeper? Whatever the cause, Zhang eventually accepted the contract. Fast forward to a fateful night in the Mongolian highlands. Yesun Temür was en route to a secret gathering with his supporters, flanked by a loyal retinue. The winds howled through the freezing steppe, carrying with them the chilling promise of treachery. Zhang, shrouded in darkness, lay in wait. In his hand was a weapon designed not just to kill, but to send a message. A dagger inlaid with jade, one of the empire's symbols of unity. The symbolism was unmistakable. The death of Yesun Temür would signal the death of imperial coherence, perhaps rendering the Yuan dynasty a fractured relic of its former self. But here's where history takes an unexpected turn. As Zhang prepared to strike, something gave him pause. Sources differ on what exactly occurred. Some say Zhang overheard Yesun Temür addressing his companions with such sincerity and clarity of purpose that the assassin's own resolve wavered. Others speak of a letter Zhang discovered in Yesun Temür's possession, a letter addressed to the empire, outlining a vision for unity, stability, and reforms long overdue. Whatever the case, Zhang's moment of hesitation stretched into something deeper, a reevaluation, a pivot from villainy to reluctant heroism. Instead of plunging the dagger into his target, Zhang did the unthinkable. He emerged from the shadows, revealed himself, and offered Yesun Temür his services. Yes, you heard that right. The very assassin contracted to kill this man became his most unexpected ally. History does not record Yesun Temür's initial reaction, though it's not hard to imagine a blend of shock, fury, and gradual intrigue. Yet, in a twist worthy of fiction, Yesun Temür saw in Zhang not just a former foe, but a resource, someone who could anticipate and thwart the plots of his enemies. From that day, Zhang Jie became an invisible force within Yesun Temür's court. As an ex-assassin, Zhang's expertise in intelligence gathering, counter-espionage, and neutralizing threats proved invaluable. Time and again, Zhang uncovered plots against the emperor, dismantling rival factions that threatened to destabilize the empire. Whether it involved intercepting coded messages, infiltrating enemy ranks, or orchestrating strategic subterfuges, Zhang's efforts effectively prolonged the dynasty's hold on power for decades to come. Historians have long puzzled over why Zhang made this radical choice. Was it a sense of redemption? Did the assassin see in Yesun Temür a leader worth safeguarding? Or was it a pragmatic understanding that a fragmented China would plunge into chaos to the detriment of all? We may never know, but this much is clear. Zhang Jie's decision was a masterstroke in the theater of the unexpected. Yesun Temür, bolstered by his newfound protector, went on to solidify his reign. While his rule was far from perfect, it stabilized many of the upheavals that had threatened to engulf the dynasty. Historical records credit his perseverance, but few mention the shadowy figure who made his survival possible. Zhang's story, like much of the work done in the shadows, faded into obscurity, remembered only in fragments of folklore and the occasional footnote in ancient chronicles. The lesson here is profound, and it transcends the borders of time and culture. History is often shaped by those in the shadows, by people whose names we barely know yet, whose actions ripple through generations. Zhang Jie's tale reminds us that loyalty and treachery can sometimes be two sides of the same coin, and that sometimes saving something precious means walking a complex, morally ambiguous road. So, the next time we think of assassins, let's not frame them purely as agents of destruction. In at least one enigmatic case, an assassin became the guardian of a dynasty, preserving the fragile threads of an empire that teetered on the brink. Zhang Jie, the unexpected savior hidden in the annals of history, is a testament to the unfathomable depths of human motivations and the curious ways in which history unfolds. This is Chronicles of Human History. Until next time, keep exploring the untold, the forgotten, the mysterious, because the past is waiting to tell you its secrets.